Footballers are expected to enjoy a lifetime of luxury, or at least survive till they are very old. But what if I told you that it isn't always the case, and that some footballers actually go broke? It seems unrealistic, right? But this happens more often than you think. In fact, statistics has shown that nearly 40% of Premier League players declare bankruptcy after retirement. So in this video, we'll be telling you about some of the footballers that went broke after making millions. Let's get into it. Paul Merson. Merson was known for his exciting career at Arsenal between 1985 and 1997, and I'm sure this guy would have earned enough to own his house, have various cars, and at least live life comfortably for a long time. But with retirement in 2006 came the harsh reality, which Merson was about to realize. You see, Merson had a gambling addiction, which had made him lose millions in the past. He had been to rehab to improve, but soon, Merson would be back to his old ways. In 2019, Merson spoke about his addiction to gambling and alcohol and how it had affected his life so badly. According to him, the urge to bet was relentless, and this would cost him his house deposit. Merson would go from owning a house to living in a rented apartment, but things seem to be looking good for him today, with a punditry role on Sky Sports that should at least keep him going. Asamoah Gyan. I'm sure most people can't forget Gyan. You know, the guy that missed a penalty against Uruguay that would have seen Ghana become the first African country to reach the World Cup semis, at least until Morocco did it last year. In 2018, the former Sunderland striker, who used to own a very expensive golden Rolls-Royce, claimed that he had only £180 in his bank account and he could no longer provide for his family. Very sad for a guy who used to earn £227,000 per week at Shanghai SIPG. But now, retirement was here, and the money had dried up. Eric Djemba Djemba. The most notable part of his career was when he played for Manchester United as a midfielder. The former Cameroon international played alongside the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Ryan Giggs at United, and would end his career with a short stint at French fifth-tier club Chateaubriand. Surely you'd expect someone that played for a top club like Manchester United and some other mid-European teams to at least have enough to live a good life. But just 4 years after leaving Aston Villa, he was declared bankrupt. He would go on to join the Indian Super League and later play in the French 5th Division just to get by. Keith Gillespie. Another former Manchester United player, Keith Gillespie, had a largely successful career playing as a winger for Manchester United and later Newcastle United. He led Newcastle to the Champions League and was a mainstay in the Northern Ireland national team. However, in 2010, and at the age of 35, he declared bankruptcy. Apparently, Keith was another victim of gambling. He had lost up to £7 million on gambling in the years when his career was winding down. Thinking of it, why did he gamble in the first place? He probably realized that with his career coming to an end, he had to secure some extra cash for retirement, so he turned to good old gambling and, well, it didn't turn out so well. Celestine Babayaro. Babayaro spent most of his career as a left-back for Chelsea. He was a major part of an emerging Chelsea team. He moved to Newcastle in 2005 after losing his place in the team due to the steady form of talented LB Wayne Bridge. He would spend 3 years at Newcastle before moving to the MLS side LA Galaxy, where he would only spend 3 months. He retired officially in 2010, but just 1 year later, the Nigerian had gone bankrupt. The reason for his bankruptcy is not known, but it seems like Babayaro didn't do a good job of managing his money. Maybe it was a gambling addiction or just some failed investment. One can only guess what happened. Ronaldinho. I'm sure you've heard this name a couple of times. I mean, this guy won the Ballon d'Or in 2005 and was part of a very exciting and dominating Barcelona side. Although his best years were behind him when he moved to AC Milan in 2008, he was still showing signs of his impressive talent. And over the years he played for both Barcelona and AC Milan, Ronaldinho sure accumulated a lot of money, as was seen in his lifestyle. He had exotic cars, a large mansion, and the Brazilian loved to party. Ultimately, it was his partying lifestyle that led to him going broke. In 2018, it was reported that Ronaldinho was broke, despite still having debts in excess of £1.7 million. Ronaldinho was fined for illegal construction in his native Brazil, and despite remortgaging his property, he was barely able to pay off the debts, and that led to a court ordering the seizure of his passport. In 2020, Ronaldinho got in trouble again with the law. This time, he was arrested in Paraguay for entering the country with forged documents. This just further compounded Ronaldinho's already known financial issues. Today, the former Ballon d'Or winner is still struggling with debt. Diego Maradona. No disrespect to this football legend, but we all know Maradona was a man of controversies, probably the king of it in the football world. From scoring goals with his hand to doping bans and even fighting on the pitch, Maradona was always surrounded by drama all the time. His financial issues were also dramatic. Maradona was found to be in possession of 37 million euros in unpaid taxes, fines, charges, and interest from his time playing for Napoli, according to an Italian government report from 2009. He attributed the tax debt to a Napoli director who had neglected to notify him quickly and had left Italy. Additionally, Maradona pleaded with the lawmakers to reinstate the title of honor for all people like him who had the same issue. It is unclear if Maradona actually knew about the tax he was owing or if he didn't. Maradona stated he had no plans to travel to Italy until and unless such a bill is passed by the parliament. Before then, he had already deposited $42,000, 2 Rolex watches, and a pair of his earrings in an attempt to clear the debt. David James. James spent his career playing as a goalkeeper for top teams like Liverpool, Manchester City, Aston Villa, West Ham, and Portsmouth, making 800 professional appearances for the clubs. He also had 53 caps for the England national team. In his career, he won the FA Cup and League Cup. However, after his retirement in 2014, James himself declared bankruptcy. Despite earning more than £20 million throughout his 25-year career, he was now broke. James's problems actually began after his divorce in 2005 that led to multiple debts, and as time went, the debts kept on increasing. James began selling his signed shirts to at least try to offset some of the debts. James's England jersey from the Three Lions 1-0 World Cup victory over Argentina in 2002 sold for £672, while the goalkeeper's jersey from Liverpool FC's 1995-96 campaign brought more than 160, and a Portsmouth #1 shirt James wore in 2008 sold for £480. Another item that sold for roughly more than £100 was a packaged and unused antique Raleigh chopper bike. Lee Hendrie. Lee Hendrie was one promising England teenager in the late 1990s. Hendrie earned £30,000 weekly while playing for Aston Villa at the height of his career. He spent 11 years at the club, featuring 251 times and scoring 27 times, as he led Villa to the League Cup twice. On December 27, 2012, Hendrie was officially declared bankrupt. He lost almost £10 million in a disastrous real estate deal, which contributed to his bankruptcy, and he also led a luxurious lifestyle, which only made his situation worse. Due to his compounding problems, Hendrie attempted suicide twice, but somehow he survived. His divorce was one of the contributing factors to his financial issues and his 2 suicide attempts. Today, Lee Hendrie works as a pundit for Sky Sports. As glamorous as being a footballer can seem to some people, it's a very short period, and when retirement comes, the money dries up in most cases. So, which of these footballers do you think could have had a different story? Do you think I left anyone out of this list? Let me know in the comment section below.